Let's talk about the Klim airbag vest that is made by In&motion. What's up, my biker friends, and welcome back to another video. I've had the Klim airbag vest now for quite some time, since the beginning of the season, and this is the second tour I'm doing with the vest. So I have quite a bit of experience now with it in different conditions. I was riding an off-road, pretty technical off-road, technical for a large bike like what I'm riding, highway riding in the wet, also in warmer conditions. And this is the reason why I waited a bit longer for this review, because I wanted to see how it actually stacks up when it gets really warm. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of the pros and cons of the vest, especially as compared to my Helite vest. And if you know the channel, you know that I'm on my second Helite vest. The first one was a mechanical vest, and then I upgraded to an electronic vest, but that's a vest that you put over your jacket. Now, the Klim airbag is what you wear under your jacket. That's why you can't see it at the moment. So I'm going to give you a sort of a pros and cons between the two. Just as a spoiler, there is no holy grail when it comes to airbag vests. There is compromises that you will have to make, and I will go into that for the type of riding that I'm doing and into the reasons why I got the Klim vest and to wanting to try that out. So let's start with the reason why I got the Klim vest. Now, there's also a video on here where I used my Helite vest, the electronic vest, and put it over my jacket, and I used it for light off-road riding. That was the ACT Italy. And I just wanted to see how well it works to wear a vest over the jacket. Now, it's not meant to do that. It specifically says you're not supposed to use it for that. There's also no setting that allows it to be used in off-road or adventure riding conditions, but I wanted to try it out anyway. Now, of course, 2 days into the ride, there was a small little bump and I jumped off a little bit and the vest released, because I thought, or the vest thought, that I would fly off the bike. And of course, it did what it was supposed to do. It's inflating the vest. So it happened 2 days into it, and I had a replacement cartridge, so I could continue going, and I actually kept it on for some of the other sort of lighter off-road trails that I did. So you can use it for that, but of course it's not meant for it, and if there's anything happening, the vest thinks you're flying off the bike, it may just inflate all of a sudden. So that was the one reason why that's not a good thing to use for the type of riding that I did with using off-road tracks and stuff like that. The second is it's not very comfortable to wear, because it's worn over the jacket, but it just kind of rides up your neck too much, and it just kind of pushes against my neck in the standing up position especially. So that wasn't a very good thing. I wasn't really looking for anything else. It was just, I think Stefan, who has the KTM rental in Hamburg, and who was so nice to supply the KTM to my brother last year for the Norway trip, he has a vest like this, and he actually crashed in the vest. So it did what it was supposed to do, and also one of the most important features that I was looking for in the vest, it also has the neck brace function. So it basically has air cushions under your neck and stabilizes your helmet. One of the most serious injuries that you can take away is actually not the lower back, it's actually your neck that gets hurt a lot. I have a couple of close friends that are trauma surgeons, and that is the most serious injury, because your head is pretty heavy, and if you start bouncing around in the air, having that support will definitely increase your chances of reducing neck injuries or avoiding them at all. So I bought one. I bought it from him, actually. I'll leave the link in the description if you are looking for a vest like this. Now, this vest is made by In&motion. Now, In&motion was something that I wasn't really looking too closely at, because they have this sort of subscription model where you have to, well, actually you can subscribe. They also have an option where you can buy the vest. So I wasn't really keen on that kind of business model. It just kind of seems odd that you would have to pay a subscription fee for safety equipment. That didn't make a lot of sense to me, and that was also one of the biggest deterrents why I didn't really look at the vest, is because of that business model. But they have a purchase model, so you do not have to use the subscription model. You can do a one-time purchase. Now, what I have done now is actually I subscribe to the service for two reasons. The first reason is that I'm still trying it out. So if I don't like it after a year into it, I can cancel that subscription and then sell the vest, because it's not really getting a lot of wear when I'm wearing it. You can sell the vest and you can cancel your subscription. So the total cost of ownership, if you're only trying it out, can stay pretty low. That's the advantage. The other one is I got a discount for my sort of car club membership. It's not a car club per se, but it's actually my bring back insurance. That is the main reason why I signed up. So if anything happens to me or the bike, I will get shipped home. The bike and me will get shipped home no matter where I am. The second reason why I was a bit thrown off by the idea of having a vest that you would wear under your jacket, is also talked about this in my review of the Helite vest, is anything that you wear under your jacket is a heat insulator. And one of the issues that I had, and one of the reasons why I bought a vest that you could put over your jacket in the first place, is because anything worn under the jacket will basically store too much heat. So if it gets too warm, this may get quite uncomfortable. Now that depends on how good your ventilation of the jacket works, but still you'll be warmer with the vest on than without it. That goes without saying. That's something that I was a bit unsure about. Now, one of the reasons why I was interested in it, aside from the fact that it worked so well for Stefan, is that In&motion have 3 different riding modes. So there's a street mode, which it's in right now, and there's a race mode, so for the racetrack. So it has different settings for the racetrack, and it has an adventure mode, which is interesting for me. So the adventure mode, to my understanding, what it does is if you have low speed falls, which happens quite often, that you just kind of stumble and you lose your balance, most of the crashes or the times when we drop the bikes is usually at very low speed. So when you fall off the bike, you don't want the vest to inflate because you can't bring enough cartridges to cover for that, but you want that if you're going a certain speed. So in In&motion, they have set an adventure mode, and that adventure mode does exactly that. It prevents the vest from sort of inflating when it shouldn't, and when you don't really need the full protection, but when you go fast enough, it will do that. So that's a pretty cool thing. The not so cool thing about it is that you have to pay extra for it. So it's an extra charge on top of the subscription model. Again, something that should just come with the vest. So I'm not too happy about that model, but that's how it is. So if you're looking into a vest like this, that's how it is. In&motion, by the way, cooperates with other manufacturers, not just Klim, but I think it's Helite, it's Ixon, I think. There's a few other manufacturers, a French manufacturer. So it's a few more that basically sort of rebrand the In&motion technology and they add a few design features to it, but they're essentially all very similar, if not the same. Off to the experience with the vest. Now, the first time I actually got to use it for a trip was in Greece and Albania. That was the ACT Greece that we did in early May. It's still relatively cool, and it worked quite well in those conditions. So cool means between 8 and 12 degrees in the mountains, and some of the parts were quite technical. And all I was wearing was a t-shirt, the vest, and this jacket on top of it. So in that temperature range, it was working fine. As it was getting warmer to some of the later tracks, as it went up to 15 or higher, I would get pretty warm in the technical sections of off-road riding. Anything close to 20 degrees when it gets really technical would be too warm for me. Even with all the vents open, you'd still get pretty warm. Now, I am in Finland right now, and in the past 3.5 days, I was riding the TED tracks here in Finland. Now, the TED tracks, as compared to the ACT in Greece or the TED in Albania, is a lot less technical. It's pretty fast-flowing gravel roads, so you're moving at higher speeds, so the vents open, you get a good amount of airflow, plus it's not very technical, so you're not working as hard. And that would actually work between 20, we had sometimes 23 degrees Celsius, so in that range, that would still be comfortable as long as you're moving on the bike. So the moment you stop moving, of course, it gets really warm, but you can open up your jacket or take it off entirely if you take a break. So that's not such a big deal. For road riding, I've done something close to 26, 27 degrees. That still works. You can open the vents, same thing. If you have ventilation coming in, that works. I haven't done anything higher than that. From what I've seen so far, I would assume anything above the high 20s for me would be getting way too warm in this vest. I don't think I'd be riding with this over 30 degrees with the vest on. I would prefer to just wear a t-shirt and just have this jacket on top of it. If it ever gets that warm, and if you're traveling in the southern part of Europe, there's a good chance that you're experiencing temperatures like this. Now, I'm in the far north of Finland right now, at 15 or 14 degrees right now. I'm comfortable in those temperatures. A few words to fit and comfort. Now, the vest is worn under the jacket, and aside from the fact that it gets a little warm, you can't really feel it. It's just like another piece of clothing on. It's very comfortable. It's very easy to move in. I like that. The weight is a tiny bit lighter than the Helite vest because it's not as sturdy as the construction, because obviously the sturdy layer is my jacket. So it's a bit lighter, not a whole lot, but it's a bit lighter. It should be around the 1 kilo mark, it would be my guess, or 1.5 maybe. And I think the Helite was just under 2 kilograms, so it's in that range. So when you have it on, it sits quite well, and especially important, I can move freely. Also, it doesn't ride up in the neck. So that's really cool. The advantages of wearing something under your jacket is that now I have full access to all my pockets, and it's easier to open the vents up and close them up. With the Helite vest on top, it was always a bit of a struggle to get to the vent openings. It's of course much easier to do this. If you're riding and it starts raining, I can close up all my zippers here while riding. So that's a big benefit of having the vest underneath it. I'm also wearing a hydration pack right now, as I've sort of gotten used to on the tour, so I have something to drink with me, not just for the adventure riding, but even for the road sections. And it's much easier to put it over my jacket rather than having to put the Helite vest over it and then put a hydration pack over the Helite vest. That was a little much. It works, but it was a little much. So this part is also a bit easier. And last but not least, that's important to mention, if you wear a vest under your jacket, you need enough room for the vest to inflate. Now I have a Klim Badlands Pro, which is a pretty loose fit, so it has enough space. I wanted it to be a bit looser because I want to layer under the jacket if it gets cold. So that's the reason why it's a looser fit. Also, it's nicer to move in. For me, at least. If you have a very tight fitting jacket, you might want to try on an airbag vest before you buy it. Now that brings me straight to some of the advantages that the Helite vest has. If you wear a vest on top of the jacket, you don't have to worry about fit. That's a big advantage. And the vest can definitely be ridden at higher temperatures. Now the Helite vest, I've ridden in 35 degrees temperatures. I mean, it is warm and I still wear the full gear, but with the t-shirt on, all the vents open and the vest sitting loosely on top of the jacket, that actually works quite well. So you can ride it in 35 degrees and it's as comfortable as 35 degrees on a motorcycle get. It's definitely not something that I could do with the In&motion or the Klim airbag vest. Now another difference between the Klim and the Helite vest is, and why it's also geared to the Helite vest is much more geared towards road riding, is that you have the option of getting a fork sensor. So a second sensor set for the Helite vest that you put on the bike. The whole point is that there are crash scenarios when the vest itself wouldn't pick up the idea that you're crashing quick enough, so to have a second sensor. Let's say if you hit another car and the sensor picks up sort of that impact motion, that the vest would release faster. I like that idea a lot. Of course, that's not really useful for off-road riding, but the idea of having two sensors that can easily, or the second sensor can easily be mounted to your bike is definitely a good thing. So it's a distinguishing feature on the Helite vest. So if I had to summarize it up, now owning both of these airbag vests, it's quite hard to say which I prefer. At the moment I'm traveling in the north, so this is a good vest to do sort of the lighter off-road sections, and the on-road section I can switch the mode if I feel like it. I did the same in Greece when it was very cold. I'm not sure what I'm going to do in September when I'm riding in warmer temperatures. The Helite vest is good if you're just riding on road. And if you're also riding in warmer temperatures, that's definitely a good thing. Also, if you're not wearing a hydration pack or anything like that, the Helite vest is actually a pretty good vest to work sort of in all temperature conditions if you're just on the road. So I'll be trying the Klim vest for the rest of the season, see how it goes. If it really does get too warm, there's always the option of taking it off. That would also mean that you should probably bring your integrated back protector, which I usually take out if I'm wearing an airbag vest. So if you bring that along, you could take off the airbag vest, and actually is pretty compact, so you can store it in your luggage. And then on those hot days, you'll be riding without an airbag, but at least you get cool enough as you're riding. So that's also always an option. Last but not least, pricing. All in, they are sort of about in the same price range of 800 euros for the full package. If you buy the In&motion option rather than doing the subscription model, there is an option if you go on the subscription model that after 3 years of paying that you can convert it to a full purchase for another 50 euros or so. So you don't have to keep paying for the next 10 years. You can turn it into a purchase model. So at the end of the day, if you're not looking at every 50 euros, it's in the same ballpark for a lot of protection that you hopefully will never need on the motorcycle. That's it. Sort of my quick impressions of the Klim airbag vest made by In&motion. I hope you found this sort of useful if you're looking in the market for any of those. If you have questions things I didn't cover, just put them in the comment section, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, ride safe, stay awesome.